you to accept this because we imagine you started full throttle, but there are many things to do. It's good because you are coming in the same league of our good friend, the new CEO of Peugeot, which was saying, okay, I will talk to you before anybody else. Luca Napolitano in Lancia. So now it's coming after you will be Michael Löscheler, which also in Polestar, he was not giving any big interviews. So we are very, very happy and honored that you accepted us as one of your key media partners. Before I will invite you to deliver your presentation, as a joke, we just started the jokes about what happened in Renault. So I will say, what are you thinking? Off the record,
it's funny because I talked with Adriana a few minutes ago and I said, I'm pretty sure I'll get the question. So I didn't know how long I would have to wait to get the question. So I mean, no, I will not comment that. We'll see what will happen. And I guess I read as many comments and press articles on the topic as you have today, and that's fine. I will not comment more than that.
Problem. Now start your presentation.
Yeah, so maybe as an introduction, I just wanted to share one key element, which is really like the also one of the reasons why I decided to join Hyundai a few months ago. I mean, when you think about the history of Hyundai, Hyundai was created in 1967. Hyundai started to build its first car in 1975, so exactly 50 years ago. And in 50 years, the group, Hyundai Motor Group, now stands at, let's say, on the podium of sales worldwide, with more than 7 million of units sold last year. So Hyundai Motor Group is Hyundai, Genesis, and Kia for everyone. And Hyundai Motor Group is also top 3 in terms of profitability worldwide. So you can really see that in 50 years, this group has done a fantastic, pretty much a fantastic development, establishing itself as one of the top players in the world. And when we look at region by region, we can see that in the US, the group is really one of the key leaders, and the investment that was announced by the company a few months ago in the US shows this ambition. You can look at other regions in the world, like India, where we are number 2. You can look at also Southeast Asia, Korea, where we really behave also at the right level. And then you look at Europe, where factually we're not top 3 in terms of sales. We're number 4, fighting for number 4 with another group. And pretty much that's the whole challenge that we're facing in Europe, where we really want to continue growing, because when you look at the last 10, 15 years, the group has grown a lot in Europe. It doubled its market share. And I'm going back to Hyundai brand only. Hyundai has doubled its market share from 2 to 4%. But still, Hyundai is let's say a little bit far from the leading brands in the continent, and the whole challenge that we have, the whole mission that we have, and the ambition we're sharing with the HMC CEO Jose Munoz is to really to improve the performance of the group in Europe, so that we pretty much align our performance with the rest of the world for Hyundai. So that's the whole ambition that we have. Of course, it's easy to say, it's tougher to execute. It's not going to be something that's going to last 1 or 2 years. It's we just validated our midterm plan with Jose Munoz. It's a 10-year plan. There's a lot to be done, but that's really, I would say, with this ambition in mind, that we developed the plan and we're conducting all the projects and operations that we're conducting. So I just wanted to share that as a let's say a starting point. Will not shy away from ambitions, and again, it's not out of arrogance or let's say positioning or whatever. It's really, when you look at the performance of the group worldwide, we do believe that there's an opportunity for the group and the Hyundai brand to develop in Europe. I'll try to keep it short so that you have a lot of questions coming after.
Actually, I was expecting to be a bit longer, to be honest. So yes, thank you for this very, very brief introduction. Can you share with us? I'm just opening the questions. By the way, dear colleagues, as you see, you have up to the screen the raise your hands. So you have to push the raise your hands, and then I will pass you the the floor to ask the questions. I just open a question. What triggered you, dear Xavier, to move from your, by the way, very successful job and position in Dacia to Hyundai?
I mean, there's never one reason. There are several reasons, and one of them is exactly the challenge I described just before. I guess I was ready to take on a new challenge, and the one that Jose proposed me is one that's quite exciting. We know that the times ahead in the car industry are quite, let's say, complicated. You talk about the global economy, you talk about geopolitical risks, you talk about access to raw materials, for rare earth materials. You talk about again, like the newcomers, I would say, in the industry. I mean, it's a complex industry in general, and you would say it's even more complex these days with all these headwinds coming. And I think that Hyundai is one of the companies that is best prepared or best or most ready to tackle all these challenges. So between the strength of the group and the interest of the mission that Jose proposed me, for me, I would say it was a quick decision to pretty much take the challenge. I was very happy and very proud of what I've done before. I left in very good terms, to make it very clear. But now for me, the focus is really the present and the future are really about making this new challenge with Hyundai work.
I will go. Thank you very much. I will go to Okan. Okan, please.
Hello, do you hear my sound? I guess.
Yeah, yes. I can hear you, Okan.
How are you, Xavier?
I'm good.
Must congratulate you again to this challenging, nice position. So my question is also a bit challenging for the Hyundai Motor Europe, about Hyundai Motor Europe, because Hyundai Motor Europe, as we know, in Czech Republic, we are producing since so many years Tucson, i30, etc. And right now, the transition has begun, like everywhere in the world, and some electric cars are coming there, etc. But my question is about your, let me say, European supporter factory in Turkey. In Turkey, you have i20 Bayon production, and it was also i10, but i10 will give his production space to an electric, reachable, affordable electric car. What you can say about this right now? I know it is already very early for this question answers, but maybe we can have some ideas.
I mean, as usual, you come with your questions, I come with my answers anyway, so we know that. No, I mean, it's a good question because it enables me also to remind the fact that when you look at the 2024 figures, actually 79% of the volume that we sold in our region, and our region is Europe, UK, and Turkey, to make it clear, 79% of what we sold was produced in the region. And so, I mean, I'm sure it's more than what most of you had in mind. And I'm just talking Hyundai. We know that in the group, there's another company also who has a factory in Slovakia. But if I'm just talking about the production of the Hyundai brand, it's 79% last year. And this year, because of the launch of Inster that's coming from Korea, we expect let's say 70% of the sales of Hyundai Motor Europe to come from our European factory. So it's a very strong, let's say, commitment from Hyundai to pretty much build in Europe cars that we want to sell mostly in Europe. When I look at the production in each factory, whether you're talking Czech Republic or Turkey, we have several models. And so sometimes, depending on the say the life cycle, there are some models that can be selling more and sometimes selling less. What is clear is that the Turkish plant, Okan, is absolutely fundamental for us. If you remember, it's a plant that started a few years ago. It was actually the first plant that was built, first Hyundai plant built outside of Korea. And it started as a CKD operation with 50,000 unit capacity, and now we're more than 200. I think it's 230,000, 240,000 units, 240,000 units a year, and working very well, working full speed. So it's, I would say, one of our key assets in the region. And yes, we've announced that next year will build a brand new electric vehicle in this plant in Izmit that will be, let's say, a European vehicle. A vehicle that will sell massively in Europe. But it doesn't mean we're stopping the rest of the production. We still have this strong base of, let's say, B segment vehicles coming from Izmit. And we have also some other vehicles coming in the next 2 years on the B segment that will be fundamental for Europe. It's one of the, I just mentioned before, the ambition we have in Europe. Some of it is just like, let's say, based on the fact that we're not as strong on some segments as we are on others. And you know the European market pretty well. B segment is fundamental. And
Yes.
so far, maybe we haven't done our best job in the B segment, not as well as we have in the C segment, for example. Like Tucson is one of the reference in CSUVs in Europe. We're aiming at trying to get the same, say, reference status with some of our B vehicles in the future. So let's say the Turkish plant will be a big asset for us in the future regarding this B segment ambition.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's go in France to Julien, please.
Good afternoon, Xavier.
Good afternoon. Even though for me it's like it's 10 p.m. I'm calling you from Korea.
Thanks for your time. You had the EX45 fuel cell. Today you have the Nexo. But what's your opinion about hydrogen in the incoming 5 years, please? Thanks.
Yeah, it's when you look at hydrogen for vehicles today, the demand in Europe is very small. To be clear, when you look at the sales figures from last year, you talk 3 digits in Europe. It's quite small. What is interesting to see in our hydrogen strategy is that it goes way beyond just one vehicle. Actually, we have a triple offer of hydrogen with cars, with buses, and with trucks. And if you go one step beyond, you can look at what we're doing, for example, in our new plant in Savannah, Georgia, in the US, where we're also producing hydrogen locally. So we start to develop some kind of ecosystem where you start to produce hydrogen, and then you can actually start to use it also in your fleet, including trucks. So true, when you look at it today in Europe, the demand is not very strong. When you try to look in the future and try to imagine what you could have 5-10 years from now, maybe it's part of a mitigation risk scenario where we could have also alternative propositions to our customers. Right now, there are 3 brands who are investing on hydrogen in the world. I'm sure you know the other 2 names. Again, you never know where it's going to go in the future. We already start to hear some discussions about access to rare earth materials and stuff like that. The only thing I know is that there's a lot of hydrogen available. So, it's just like, I don't see it in the next few years as a key business asset for Europe. But in the next 10, from a global point of view, it's a question. It's a question. It might be an opportunity.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Xavier, for this answer. Before going to John, may I add a small question here? What do you think about the future of hydrogen for passengers cars?
There's one dimension that is clear, is that we want technological neutrality, or we're asking for technological neutrality when you look at the evolution of the regulation. And right now, I guess that one of the challenges that the car industry is facing, or the EU is facing, is when you're trying to impose one technology only. So there's the objective of result objective, or the result that you're looking at, or you're looking after, and then there's the way to get there. Right now, again, one of the issues with hydrogen is the access to infrastructure, and infrastructure cost a lot of money for hydrogen. So that's why it's more like from big city to big cities, and that's why you think more about hydrogen for heavy-duty vehicles than for smaller, lighter ones. Again, if you develop an ecosystem, you're creating opportunities. So what might not make sense if you're just looking at the car in an isolated way might make more sense if you're looking at something that is part of a bigger ecosystem where you're producing the hydrogen and you have a fleet of heavy-duty vehicles as well. So that's the way I look at it.
Thank you. John?
Good evening. Good evening. First of all, good luck for the next week because we have in Greece Rally Acropolis. Good luck for the Hyundai Motorsport.
Yes. Thank you.
About Genesis, good news for the European market for Genesis, because the next year we will come in World Rally Championship for WEC. What about the Genesis in Europe for the European market?
All right, so I'll switch from Hyundai and this. I'll try to be careful because I realize in one of the past interviews, if I'm not clear enough on what is Hyundai, what is Genesis, then I might get some confusion. So excuse me if I'm just trying to make it very clear, and I might repeat a few things twice. So yeah, I mean, in my scope, I do have the Hyundai brand, I also have the Genesis brand. We announced actually this past weekend at Le Mans that we will expand the market coverage of Genesis in Europe to new markets. I will give you two numbers that are for me quite important. Last year, in 2024, Genesis sold 75,000 units in the US, and we sold 2,500 units in Europe. And I know that the markets are not the same between the US and between Europe, but still this 1:30 ratio is not, let's say, a classical ratio of, let's say, sales comparison between Europe and the US. We tried to launch in the past Genesis in a very, let's say, specific way, trying to really promote direct-to-customer approach with a very high level of hospitality, bringing the car to the customer, especially for a test drive, even sometimes going to pick up the vehicle from the customer for after sales and that kind of stuff. So it went very far in terms of a hospitality approach. What we see, though, is that at the end of the day, this is great in terms of customer satisfaction, but it might not be the best, let's say, mechanism or organization to try to develop the sales in a more important way. So we are currently redefining the business model of the Genesis brand. We want to look actually at what they are doing in the US, because they've gone a very long way in the last 5 years in the US. Trying to maximize some of the synergies we could get between the Hyundai and the Genesis organization, whether at a national sales company level or even at the dealership level, and trying to really keep customer specific what is customer specific. So it's really you don't treat a Genesis customers the way you treat a Hyundai customer. It's really like a different, let's say, customer promise. Genesis is really premium to luxury in terms of positioning and quality of the vehicle that we're proposing to the market, and we need to have the same consistency in terms of service and quality of service. So what we announced is simply we'll expand the market coverage. So far, we only sell Genesis in 3 markets in Europe. It's Germany, Switzerland, and the UK. We announced this weekend we'll expand to 4 new markets, which are France, Italy, Spain, and Netherlands. We also said that this is just a first step, and there will be other steps concerning the other markets after. So again, our objective, our ambition, I will not give a specific date for that, but our objective and our ambition is to cover the whole of Europe in terms of Genesis sales and after sales.
Okay, thank you very much.
Also, maybe there was a question about WEC. It's true, like we're also using WEC, so World Endurance Championship, as a great, let's say, platform to communicate on this Genesis ambition, to try to raise the awareness of the Genesis brand, which is not so much known in Europe. So that's the benefit of having a great motorsports platform like this one, and it was fantastic to spend the weekend in Le Mans, and I would say talking positively about vehicles, because every day when you talk about cars, you talk about taxes, pollution, traffic, regulation. And when you go to Le Mans and you meet car enthusiasts everywhere and you talk about the expansion of the brand, you look at all the customers coming to visit your booth and the vehicles you're presenting, and you see the smiles on their face and you hear the passion in their voice, and that's really a very nice breath of fresh air.
Okay, thank you. Now we go in Sweden to Felix. Felix, please.
Hello, I want to ask about plug-in hybrids, and they have been gaining a lot of traction in Europe as of late. And do you have any plans to, modernize your drivetrains to cater to this market, or do you see the BEV leg as the one going forward?
So that's the great thing about belonging or working for a global group, is that because we're addressing the demands of customers all over the world, we pretty much have all the tech available. So we have hydrogen, we talked about it, we have EV, we have plug-in hybrids, we have hybrids, mild hybrids, we have all of it. And the idea is that, like the best way pretty much to answer all the customers' demands is to have every technology available and to try to get a market share which is pretty much similar in all kinds of powertrains. So if we could have a similar, let's say, market share in EV, in hybrid, and in ICE, pretty much we can better tackle the evolution of the market in terms of a powertrain demand. Because what we see today is that most of the evolution of powertrain demand is regulation driven and not really customer driven. When you talk about PHEV, PHEV grew in Europe because of incentives, or thanks to incentives. And you know very well that coming next year and the following year, there'll be a change of homologation regulation, and the utility factor of PHEV will not be as favorable as it was this year. So the CO2 emissions of PHEV will increase almost double or triple in the next 2-3 years, which is going to have an impact on the, let's say, attractiveness of the PHEV offer. So again, for us, we have to try to be, again, risk mitigation scenarios. We have to be able to answer to any kind of situation in the market. And the best way is to be performing very well in every single part of the market, whether you're talking about models or you're talking about channel mix or you're talking about powertrain offers. For us, really, I would say we see the evolution of the European market towards EV and hybrid in the next few years. It's clear, and I can say that the objective is that by 2027, every single Hyundai model in Europe would have either a full EV or a full hybrid offer everywhere.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go now to...
Sorry,
Felix.
just for clarification. That is a no, then, that you won't do more of, or you will modernize your plug-in hybrids. They will stay as they are this model year out, and you will, progress towards full hybrids and BEVs.
No, it's not exactly what I said, Felix. I'm just saying that we're trying to get, let's say, the powertrains are required by the market. Again, pushing a lot on EV and hybrid. Regarding PHEV, again, I mean, we'll try to answer the demand, knowing that the demand will evolve due to the fiscal evolution. There's also a big question about, are we talking PHEV? Are we talking EREV? The technologies are quite similar. They're not exactly the same. Both of them are quite costly, which is why they would fit more naturally bigger cars than smaller cars. We do have projects, I would say, at the global level on PHEV and EREV, but it's too early to talk about the specific European plans. I hope it's clearer this way.
Okay, good. Now let's go in Spain to Juan. Juan, please.
Yes. There is a Spanish guy in the top of the Hyundai. There is a French guy in the top of Europe. It's not very usual that two Southern European guys are in the top of management of a company like this. What have changed in Hyundai to allow this, and what we can expect to change from now in terms of culture of company, if you.
Yeah, I know it's not usual. I would say when you look at the history of Hyundai, it might be more usual when you compare with the history of other brands. And I will not give too many names, but you can easily look at some top-selling Asian brands, and you will have the answer to my question. The thing, I guess, is really like it's. You're trying pretty much to know your market, and you try to put people in charge who know the market and try to maximize the opportunities. And again, like the benefit of working in a group like for a group like a Hyundai Motor Group is that you're trying to get the best of like everything from a global point of view. I have to say, I enjoy very much discussing with my American, South American, Indian, Chinese, Australian, Middle Eastern colleagues, counterparts, and I meet them monthly, and I will do so tomorrow. Because again, like you're realizing that maybe the markets are different, but some of the topics we're facing are quite similar. And then sometimes their action plan might not work for us, but sometimes they might work very well for us. So it's, you're trying really to get, let's say, the best of the organization through diversity. And diversity works by nationalities, works also by gender, works also by experience. We're also trying to get inside the company folks with a different kind of experience. For example, within HME, we do have Hyundai Connected Mobility, where we're also trying to hire people from outside of the car industry to try to get their, let's say, insights on how we could actually develop connectivity offers, how we could develop mobility offers that are different from the ones that would naturally come out of, let's say, the car industry folks. So it's this diversity that is generating added value. I guess in terms of culture, we're really trying to develop a culture where we're trying to get talent from where they are. And I mean, you might not see it at different level, but we're doing it really at different level, trying to get people from wherever they can come from. We have, like, I think, Adriana, I might be wrong, I think we have around 40 nationalities at Hyundai Motor Europe, at 40. So I really see it, again, as an opportunity to try to get the best from every single market and understand every single market. It's not your typical HQ will come to tell the countries what to do. We're really trying to get all the information bottom up from the markets to be able to, say, develop the best action plan we can. And obviously, we also have to represent Europe, I would say, towards our headquarters. Headquarters being, okay, so Adriana is saying it's even more than 50. I'm sorry. I'm still discovering part of the company. But again, we're having our headquarters in Korea, and also, like you see, like in terms of let's say we have our own organization in Europe, we have engineering in Europe, we have design in Europe, so we do have many people in Europe. The question after is how do we convince pretty much Korea to invest in Europe? And so when you see the results of the US for Hyundai, you understand why the company is ready to invest a lot in the US to maintain somewhere this very profitable, sustainable development in the US. Pretty much our objective is to do something similar in Europe, so that by increasing our performance, we'll somewhere always somewhere encourage the company to invest even more in Europe, because somewhere it's beneficial for the whole organization. And to do so, we need to be able to explain what Europe is. And we are complex, you all know. I mean, just look at all of you in the room, and I know we're not representing all the countries. We are a complex group of people. We speak different languages. We have different tax systems. Sometimes we even change within the year. We're very creative from a tax point of view. So it's a complex continent to understand, and we need to have people in charge of Europe who understand Europe. So we're trying to go, matching the knowledge of the European market with the speed, the agility of the current company and the current culture. It's something that is quite fascinating to see. Again, I don't want to give any comparison, but I would just say that the legend of the speed of the Korean culture is. I've witnessed it many times in the last 5.5 months that I've worked in this company. So again, if you can really try to mix this culture of local understanding, local knowledge, and speed of the Korean, say, culture, I think we're up to good things. I don't know if it answers your questions, but
one is okay.
That's how I look at it. And I'm quite happy to have Jose as my boss. I mean, he's a visionary leader who's really brought a lot to Hyundai in the US, where he started, and then as a CEO in the last few years. So I mean, working with someone with his vision is quite motivating.
Knowing him from far, I can assure that he is. Thank you.
Thank you. We go to Leonid. Leonid, you have the mic.
In a couple of days, we will see the Ioniq 6.9. What is the next steps in the portfolio of the Ioniq brand, sub-brand? Is there?
Yeah. So
sorry.
Please.
Yeah.
So you talk about the evolution of Ioniq portfolio, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, it's quite interesting to see that Ioniq has become really a key asset for the brand, and it really evokes say a know-how. We started really linking also the Ioniq with the 800 volt platform for EGMP platform and fast charging capability, which was really something unusual, I would say, among mass market brands. We have the Ioniq 5, the 6. We're revealing the 9, which is again an extremely interesting vehicle with all the tech, the charging capability, 600 kilometers plus of range, all the tech you need on board, features on demand, everything. Really see it as a very, let's say, attractive package for, I have to say, affluent families. We're also starting to receive some result values from editors that are very encouraging and show that pretty much, again, the fact that Hyundai as a brand has come a long way and is really are gone, I would say, the days when the Hyundai was synonymous with the, let's say, cheap small cars. And really, when you look at the offering we're having right now in terms of product technology, pricing, result values, it shows that people give us this credit. So I'm very happy about that. And obviously, the idea is to continue developing this Ioniq, let's say, sub-brand. We will. I don't want to give you any major scoop, otherwise Adriana will be mad at me, but maybe we could meet in a few months after the summer. There might be an event somewhere in Germany where we might be showing something. But again, I'm just saying that between us, right?
Okay, thank you.
And interestingly, what I like, it's also when because right now in branding is fundamental, and the value of the brand equity, what your brand stands for. Ioniq is a strong statement that people really start to recognize. There's another one also that is quite valuable. It's N. And so the performance, let's say, version in the lineup. And when you can actually mix Ioniq and N together, you get something that is quite legendary. I'm sure that most of you have driven the Ioniq 5N. Anyway, you must have read otherwise articles or seen videos. I mean, this car is just fantastic. And by the way, I guess in Goodwood in a few weeks we might be revealing another, let's say, mixture of Ioniq and all together. So again, keep up with the Hyundai news if you have some let's say, interesting stuff coming.
By the way, Xavier, can you confirm that Hyundai will be in IAA in Munich?
Yes.
So we can publish this.
Adriana, we have the right to or not?
I guess yes.
Okay,
perfect.
So I say yes.
We have a deal. We have a deal. Okay, now let's go to Richard in UK. Richard, you have the mic.
Thank you, Dan. Hi, Xavier. I have a question in two parts. First is the general B segment, and you spoke about new products in the pipeline. This comes as some rivals withdraw from the B segment entirely. Do you see that as a significant opportunity for the brand going forward in the next few years? And the second question is, does this commitment extend to the A segment as well for the future?
I mean, simple answer, yes, I see it as an opportunity, of course. And it's really when you have issues and when you have difficulties on the market where brands and companies have to make decisions. And what I find interesting is at a time when some let's say, competitors are really maybe shrinking their investment, Hyundai is doubling down. And the investment that UK made in the US earlier in the year is a very, let's say, interesting let's say, example or illustration of this strategy. Also, we inaugurated 2 months ago a new building in our R&D center in Europe, in Germany, at HMETC. So that's a Hyundai Motor Europe technical center. So a significant investment as well to try to always bring, let's say, all the fine tuning and the engine development that we need for Europe closer to home. So we're doubling down, and the fact that some others are making other decisions, let's say, I'm very happy about it. Now the A segment is different though, because A segment is smaller volumes, and A segment is really about vehicles that are mainly for city centers. And in city centers right now, you can see that there's more and more regulation all over the place about restricting access to EV only, whether you're talking about simple like interdiction from users to drive into city centers, or tax systems or stuff like that. It's becoming extremely complicated to have let's say an ICE offer on the A segment. So for us, I think we have an extremely interesting product that has been launched a few months ago called Inster, which is actually, I would say, from external dimensions an A segment vehicle, from internal dimensions a B segment vehicle. So it's I would say the best of both worlds. And the vehicle has just been launched in the UK, by the way, and the results so far are very good in Europe. We have customer orders above our forecasts, initial forecast, and we've been, by the way, asking for additional production from the factory to try to keep up with the demand. So that's a very good sign. Inster got also the World Electric Car of the Year. I'm sure you heard that. It was announced at the New York Motor Show mid-April. And for a car that has been so far launched only in Europe and some markets in Asia, I think it's quite an achievement. So it tells a lot about the potential of the vehicle. So so as you can see, it's a different answer I have on B segment and A segment. But again, it's not coming from let's say, I mean, we have to take into consideration the regulation and the constraints that are weighing on customers all over the continent. Yes, it's true that A segment is A segment is very much A and B segment are very much European products as well. So we cannot have the benefits of scale that you can have on C or D segments on these segments.
Is there a way for you to address the affordability, given that regulation means that cars are becoming more expensive, and perhaps A segment has traditionally played a role there? How will you help ensure cars remain affordable going forwards?
Well, it's a good question, and we don't have all the answers, I would say, on our side. It would help actually if regulation was I mean, we know regulation is really penalizing small cars because the cost of regulation represents a bigger percentage of the price of vehicles in the A/B segment versus C or D or E segment. It's just like basic math, huh? So that's one of the issues we're facing. That's why we believe that A segment has to really be mainly electric tomorrow. It fits the needs of customers. It fits, let's say, the regulation. And then I think the big question is finding the right size of battery. There's also this, say, inflation of battery size that can be justified when you're trying to get a large range for people who are making long trips, let's say, regularly. On a small vehicle, it's not the case. So we should be able to try to, let's say, optimize the size of the battery. We're having a double offer of battery, by the way, on Inster, which is also a way to try to answer that specific question. And hopefully the development of sales of small vehicles will also help us somewhere, lower the cost of the vehicles and therefore at some point of time try to lower the price.
Good. By the way, Xavier, I'm very glad to tell you that Richard was just appointed vice president of the jury, and he is in charge for the AUTOBEST Conquest, show exactly the project I was lucky to tell you some months ago.
All right. Excellent.
Let's go to Antonio De Palma, our new colleague from Luxembourg.
You're muted.
Antonio, you are muted.
Yes.
Take out the mic. Take the mic.
Sorry, I was saying nice meeting you, Xavier.
Nice to meet you as well.
We were talking about car enthusiasts' passion. We talked about motorsports, and you very rightly mentioned the N range of Hyundai. And we all know how successful the i20 and i30 have been in the past. We have now the Ioniq 5N, which is quite an achievement. Was not lucky enough to drive it, but still I've read from my colleagues, and I still believe it's very nice. Nevertheless, these vehicles are still very expensive and quite heavy, and to my motorsports roots do not really represent what the average car enthusiast can afford and is expecting. So can you tell us what you see as the evolution of the N range in the future? Can we expect more affordable cars? Can we even dream of still having some internal combustion engine like, for instance, Toyota is still trying to do? That's quite a wide question.
But so I have a problem because it's a good question, and I cannot talk about the answers now. But I mean, it's exactly because we had this exact conversation, let's say, with R&D a few weeks ago. So okay. I don't want to share the conclusion of our meeting with R&D with you today. I would like to, I cannot. But these are good questions. So I'll just say that we're working on it, and hopefully one day I'll be able to answer you better than this morning. But it's true. It's an important factor. I would still encourage you to drive the Ioniq 5N. I guess one of my biggest pleasure reading a press article happened a few weeks ago when I read it was a test drive review from let's say the sports version of a very famous German premium brand, and the only other brand name that was quoted in the article was ours, saying that so far, and this article and this test drive prove it, the only brand that has mastered the ability to give a soul to the in the performance version of its electric flagship is Hyundai with the Ioniq 5N. And when you read that in a press review dedicated to a premium brand that everybody knows about, you feel happy. So again, what we hope to do is to have the same results with potentially other vehicles in the future, to try to keep this let's say flagship alive and kicking and addressing a bigger audience.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We go in Ireland. Dave, you have the mic.
Hi, Xavier. Dave Humphreys from Complete Car in Ireland. Thanks again for giving us your time to do this. I've got a two-part question for you. The first thing is, you mentioned earlier today and also previously about plug-in hybrids having perhaps a slightly limited future given the regulations that are going on, and electric and hybrid could be the solution. But the one thing I sense that few car manufacturers are talking about is the e-fuel situation or sustainable fuel and the role that could play in the future. And obviously you've already got experience as a company in producing your own fuel in the form of hydrogen. Some companies such as Porsche are exploring producing their own e-fuels. I suppose, do you think that's something that Hyundai can do? And do you think that the concept of e-fuel in general, irrespective of who produces it, can have a longer lasting benefit for combustion engines in Europe? And then the second question is, another part of your group has announced plans to enter into the commercial vehicle market with a whole range of electric vans. But is the commercial vehicle sector something that Hyundai may look to expand further into, whether it's a combustion engine or not combustion engine, in order to increase that market share that you have in Europe?
I'll start by answering the second part of your questions. So again, like when we look at the areas in which we're underperforming today, so I mentioned B segment. I could have mentioned LCVs because we're actually almost absent from that market, and we do have an LCV plan in our midterm plan. So again, I would say same answer as the one just before with Antonio. It's too early to go into the details of what we'll do, when, what vehicles. But there's a plan for that because, again, the LCV is a significant part of the European market. If we want to become a top player, we have to be present in every single market, and LCV is one of them. So At the same time, you know it very well, Dave, you cannot go into LCV with half a plan. It's a very competitive environment where we already have a lot of, let's say, players with a lot of experience. We know that you have to have a 360-degree plan to enter the LCV market. You need to have the vehicles with the diversity. You need to have the agreement with the, let's say, the converters. You need to have the right sales finance organization, the right fleet organization. You need to have presence in after sales. People are ready to repair your vehicles, give you a courtesy vehicle or courtesy van, because I mean the fire truck, for example, who's going on maintenance, you cannot give them let's say a regular van to do the job instead. They won't be able to. So I mean it's a full 360 plan we're working on. It's true that our sister brand has taken some steps so far, which is also a good way to learn about the market from let's say a group point of view. But again, by say in 10 years, we hope to have become, let's say, a player on this sector in Europe. It also like enables me to seize the opportunity to talk about fleet. Fleet is another area in which we've not been, let's say, extremely successful in the last few years, simply because the focus was put primarily on, say, private customers sales. So again, this is something we're working on. There's a lot to be done as well, but we already started some steps. Whether we're talking about sales finance partners, whether we're talking about, let's say, personalization of the network, whether we're talking about setting up a true European or pan-European structure, that kind of stuff. So it's really on our, let's say, in our midterm plan, and I would say it's a prerequisite if you want to enter into the LCV market. So that's very obvious. Then if I go back to the first part of your question, yeah, again, I mean the technological neutrality is quite important also, because I mean the question should not be about the how, but the what and the result we are trying to achieve. And at the end of the day, if say the enemy is the carbon, you have to find ways to look at all the ways to treat it. And there's also something that is not maybe talked enough, say, in the public space, which is also taking care of the old car park we have in Europe. Because again, you have a lot of vehicles that are more than 20 years old, and they're emitting a lot of say CO2 emissions. So I mean, there's a lot that can be done. The problem at the end is really trying to put everything, say, aligning all the priorities and aligning everything to try to find the right answer. E-fuels make a sense as well, because e-fuel is about capturing carbon that exists in the atmosphere, and then trying to somewhere offset carbon when you're putting the e-fuel in the vehicle. So you're capturing carbon and you're putting some more in the vehicle, but at the end you're getting zero-sum game, which would make sense as well. I mean, now when you look at e-fuels, you have many questions. Can we produce the quantity that is requested? What's the price? Because right now it's I mean, we hear more something around like 10 euros and not 2 or 180 for a liter of gasoline or diesel. So, but then again, what would the price be X years from now? What would the fiscality be as well? I mean, but then there's a ton of questions, but I guess it would be interesting to investigate some of these questions, and maybe we'll come up with some answers that are quite interesting. So whether we're doing it ourselves or we partner with somebody else, that's something that would be interesting to see. Again, what we need is to have a global vision of where we want to go. Because right now, I mean, everybody's talking about EV, and EV represents 17% of the European market. It's everybody's quoting China as an example. They are 27. US is at 7% of its market as EV. So it means there's still a lot of way to go.
You mentioned the cost there with the e-fuel, and that's obviously a major factor, especially at this early stage of that technology. Do you think governments should swallow some or all of the excise duty and the tax that they charge on fuels, because it's such a significant amount? Should they do it on sustainable fuels in order to help encourage adoption of those fuels, to make it more appealing for consumers to make a choice?
I mean, these are broad questions as well. I mean, you could argue also, let's try to build a clean energy, electricity, because when you look at Europe, you're getting some economies or some countries where the electricity is carbon free or almost carbon free, whether you're talking nuclear or you're talking renewables, and then you get some other countries. Poland, for example, where everything is coal-based, and you can also ask another question there, because the carbon footprint of an EV running in Poland on carbon, let's say, based electricity, produced electricity, is not very good. So you need to have questions about this. Where do we produce the electricity and how? You have a question about infrastructure development. You have questions about, again, all the other topics also, because I mean, the countries have budgets to respect, and we know the situation in Europe is not so flourishing that we can say do whatever we want. I mean, so I mean, say each government has to decide the priorities and where they want to say put their priorities. It's true. Like the feeling I have, I would say it's just a personal perception. Is when we talk about the car industry, you have the feeling that we're more often talking about like penalties and malus and taxes, rather than let's say incentives to develop, and that might be something that we would like to see in the future. And we're looking forward to the potential revision of the 2035 targets by the European Commission later this year. We need to have clarity on this scenario, because we can see right now the industry, and it's what like many voices are saying, the industry is really not or not really let's say on the right are developing at the right speed. I mean, no one can challenge or doubt the efforts of all the brands, all the OEMs to electrify their vehicles. I mean, billions and billions have been invested, but it has to be, let's say, a more global effort.
Super, thank you. Guys, we have just 4 minutes, so we will try, if it's okay for you, Xavier, to take the three last questions.
I see three hands risen, and I will take the three hands.
So Petros is the new president of the jury. Mr. President, please ask your question.
Hello, Xavier.
Hello.
We were talking now about sustainable fuels, hybrids, plug-in hybrids. Do you believe that the 2035 deadline for ending internal combustion engine, is this realistic for across European countries?
My honest answer is I don't know, and again, like it's what I said earlier, the best way for us to mitigate a scenario is to have the same market share in EV and non-EV, or to have the same market share in EV, in hybrid, and in let's say traditional internal combustion engines. Like that, I mean, I will control my controllables. And what I do not control at all, which is the way the economy is going, the way the politics is going, the way that simply, let's say, people's purchasing power is evolving, we'll manage. But I guess everybody has to do his job, and my job is trying to mitigate the risk. And so again, I have to be ready for any scenario. And that's pretty much what we're trying to do with manufacturing, with purchasing, with the product planning to try to have, let's say, all the offers everywhere. Right now, I mean, there are some models of our lineup where we don't have a hybrid engine. Again, as I said, 2 years from now, we should have hybrid engines in all the vehicles. So every vehicle should have hybrid or EV. It's a way to mitigate the risks. And again, we'll control the controllables.
As you said, you have to be ready for every scenario, right? That means more expenses, more R&D. That means higher car prices individually. How do you react on these Chinese brands' aggressive pricing?
So I was surprised that after 58 minutes there had been no questions about Chinese. So so that's we're still within the frame of the discussion. Again, I mean, it's a normal question that if you try to be on all fronts, I mean, it costs more money. But again, this is where it makes sense to be, let's say, a performing global company with a global footprint and with results that put the company top 3 in quantity and profit. So it gives us an ability to invest on the key technology. It doesn't mean that we can do everything, but we have to do everything that makes sense, and that's absolutely fundamental for us. And so you want to have like the best EV technology, and it's pretty much almost what we have today. When you look at again like the perception of EVs from Hyundai, they're really very often top of the pops. You look again at the 800 volt technology. I mean, we're the first ones to introduce it. It's among mass market brands, which is absolutely let's say telling of the ambition and the technology mastery of the group. Now the Chinese are coming, but again, like Chinese are coming, and you have two kinds of Chinese, if I could say, and I'm really like making it very maybe oversimplistic. You have those who are coming today with let's say ICE offer and cheaper price, and then you get some others who are coming with maybe more EVs and higher prices, higher technology, and the two are like two different competitors, and we have to like answer to the two of them differently. And again, like they're coming strong. It's clear they have ambitions. They also have let's say the strong support of a big national market. But I guess like there's only one way to react, which is trying to come with our own A game at the same time. It's they're coming in strong. They have to push us to somewhere say get emulation or find our own best plan to try to answer them. And I believe again that Hyundai has all the capacity to somewhere tackle this new competition. Of course, it won't be easy, but I think we're one of the most ready OEM capable or able to somewhere fend off this new competition. You know, we're trying we're inviting some of our top groups, dealer groups. You know, it's usually big dealer groups. They have a lot of stores for us, also from other brands. And we invite them in Korea, and we show them pretty much our offices. And when I say offices, it's not only like the tower, you know, when you have marketing and sell stuff. No, we show them the R&D, we show them the product, we show them the design, we show them really what Hyundai is made of. We show them also what goes beyond the car industry, because that's the power also of a group like HMG, is that we're really present on the whole, let's say, vertical integration of the business. And when they see that, they realize that actually the group is extremely strong, extremely solid, and really able to tackle some of the challenges of tomorrow. I'll try to go on another territory, for example. You know that we do have interest in robotics, for example. Right now, we do have robots who are intervening along the lines of our factories. And I say factories because we already have them in Singapore, and we have them now in Savannah, Georgia. And these robots are really playing a massive role in terms of analyzing the perceived quality of every single car that's coming out of the chain. And they're doing it, you know, every time trying to identify any issue you might have to be sure that the cars coming out of these factories are absolutely top notch. And so you start to have stuff like that along the way. And, you know, it gives us a different angle to look at the car industry and to look at how we could make a difference versus the others. So again, I guess, yeah, they are serious competitors. We're really not underestimating them or whatever. We take them really for tough competitors, but there's only one way out is to somewhere to come up with our best game and come up with the best product, the ones to answer the customers' needs the best. Let's think about what customers want. And customers want the best cars, they want the best prices, they want the best service. Look also at the service, and that's also why we're investing a lot on our dealer capabilities in sales and after sales. We don't talk about after sales, but after sales is a great way also to loyalize your customers. And we're developing a lot of initiatives on that front as well. So again, there's no easy answer. It's a 360-degree approach, I would say, in every single market, with our dealers, trying to have the right dealers also to be sure to have the right quality of service in sales and after sales. It goes back after to where does the company invest every single euro or dollar or won to be sure that we put it where we get the best, let's say, benefit for our customers. Again, what do customers want? How do we solve their needs the best? How do we answer their needs the best? It's really the focus of every single day and every single hour we're spending at HMG.
Super. It was a long Long answer.
My camera was off. I don't know why, but I can still hear and see you.
Now let's go to Alessio Viola. As you know, he's the other vice president responsible for EcoBest Challenge, which was the very first proof about what you just said before about how quick, fast, and reliable is the charging system of the Hyundai cars. Alessio,
yeah.
please.
By the way, I had sorry, Alessio, I'll let you talk after, but I was visiting one of our finance partners who had a lot of vehicles in their fleet car park, not theirs, but the ones from their customers. And they were very happy to show us that our batteries were the ones that were holding, let's say, their quality the best over time and by far. So sorry for that commercial advertising moment I just had, but I felt it was the right moment to talk about it.
Alessio, please.
And I just would like to know, in Hyundai roadmap, when are we going to see solid-state battery on the market, real for customers?
Still a few years from now. Still a few years from now. I mean, it's being developed right now. From what I understand, we have some prototypes coming, and then after, before you see mass production, you will still need to wait a few years. So I don't want to give a very specific date, but it's, let's talk years and not months.
Okay. And one last question is coming from Ilya. Ilya, please.
Xavier, you said some things about Chinese invasion in Europe and all over the world. What do you think about the so-called K cars? Are they coming in Europe? Because I saw BYD is ready with one global car in this size.
I mean, it's a good question. I think it's like between a quadricycle that costs 7,000, 8,000 euro, and let's say the cheapest EV you might have in Europe, which is 10,000 more. There should be somewhere, let's say, a spot for something else. And I say something else because I don't know what it is. We're running assumptions and hypotheses also on our side, running scenarios. But there should be, let's say, a place for, I don't know, 12, 13, 14K stuff. Is it a K car? Is it a super quadricycle? Is it something else? I guess every OEM is, I mean, we're reading very often news about projects and stuff like that every here and then. So, I mean, we know that every OEM is wondering what should that object be, and we're among OEMs asking ourselves the question as well. So it's true. Like I remember, it was not a long time ago where you could buy a vehicle for let's say under 10,000 euros, and now you cannot anymore if you want to buy a new one. So I mean, it's true. Like the evolution of pricing is excluding some customers from new car market for sure. So we have maybe to try to find for other solutions. K car could be one, but then we have to see also what the regulation enables us to do. I mean, I know that in some cases, in some markets, you know, if you don't have a M1, you cannot go on some bridges, you cannot go on some highways, you cannot go in some tunnels and stuff like that. So you need to have also a, let's say, again, a 360 thought process on what do we want as a society, not as a company, but as a society, as mobility tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much to all of my colleagues. Let me just add, Xavier, thank you, because we have already 8 minutes on top. Let me say that we, in the last EcoBest Challenge, which was just before the gala, we tested one Hyundai, and next week you will see the results, how well performed, how close to the official measurements. Before that, obviously, we wish you all good luck in your career, and I am very impressed by our round table. I guess I'm speaking for all of us that it was a very, very impressive, very full of content discussion as always with you. And I end up by saying we missed you during our gala in Vienna.
Yeah, I know it was last week. I wish I could have come, but I was stay busy somewhere else. Again, it's Thank you for the questions. I mean, good questions all over the place. But because I mean, we know there's so many questions about where the car industry is going right now. Again, I mean, I'll finish by a little commercial or advertising part. I mean, I really believe that right now Hyundai is one of these OEMs that has the ability, you know, to generate the short-term results, to be able to somewhere invest significantly and prepare tomorrow. And this global footprint of ours is really the one that's enabling us to get there. And again, like there's only one way to get there, is to always keep the customer at the center of our thought process. And customers also have so many questions when they talk about cars. I mean, I guess most of you were answering questions 15 years ago. What should I buy, a diesel or gasoline? It was an easy question. And even though we thought it was complicated, it was easy, because now you look at all the possibilities in front of us. So it's a complex world, but again, thank you for trying to decipher, explain to our readers where we want to go collectively and where Hyundai more individually wants to go. So thank you for that, and I wish you a very good afternoon, and I'm sure that we'll meet again either at the next year Gala or at an event that we might organize for you guys when we reveal a new car.
Very much, Xavier. All the best.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you. Cheers. Hope to see you soon again.
Goodbye.
Bye bye. Bye to all.